Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday here in the Daytona International Speedway Media Center. We are in the midst of our media availabilities, as we did last year with our OEM partners and their respective team owners, to help preview the 2018 Daytona 500. And sitting on the dais next to me are Ed Laukes, Group Vice President Marketing for Toyota Motor North America, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Barney Visser, Furniture Row Racing. And Toyota had a fantastic 2017 with Martin Truex Jr. capturing the championship. And, Ed, we'll start with you. Talk a little bit about the success last year and some of the things that you're looking forward to heading into this season.
Yeah, thanks, John. Good morning, everyone. Obviously a super special season for Toyota, starting off with the Detroit Auto Show when we unveiled the new Cup car at first time ever that we've ever done that, and a pretty exciting event in Detroit, and then getting here to Daytona. And started off, as you all remember, with a little bit of some people questioning exactly how the new Camry was performing the first few races of the season, and working together with our partners at Joe Gibbs and at Furniture Row, we came back with not only our second Drivers' Championship, but also our second Manufacturers' Championship, and that's a huge rallying cry for our company. So obviously a super special year, and really excited about starting 2018, and ready to go.
Thank you, Ed. And Coach, talk a little bit about what your shop has done this offseason to get ready for 2018.
Well, the problem with our sport, we don't have much of an off season. It seems like we're going nonstop. We got 2.5 months to try and catch up. This year, a lot of changes. Everybody and knows we're all going to be anxious to see what happens on pit road. A number of other changes in our sport, but I've kind of found that pro sports, they change 30% a year. I mean, it's just nonstop. So you need to handle that. Our big deal is our partnerships. That's the thing that's unique about this sport. You have your sponsors. You develop unique relationships with them. Norm Miller's here with us today, our founding sponsor, Toyota. Our partnership there, it's a thrill for us. And then you wind up with our strategic alliance with Barney and the guys out there. And so it is relationships kind of all across the board with this sport. I love that part of it because you develop real friendships and that you got to work together. And it's teamwork all the way. You got 4 cars tomorrow in Cup, and then you got our partner over here with Barney. So it's partnerships and it's working together, and I love that aspect of it.
Well, thanks, Coach. And Barney, welcome back. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. There's nothing like getting new pipes. I didn't realize how bad it was, but this has been really good. And I'm told that I won't be 100% for another 3 months. So as good as I feel now, this is a home run.
What have you been looking forward to the most coming to the track?
You know, I missed the people and the competitive spirit, and but mostly the people. I heard the engines fire up the other day, and I realized how much I missed that.
Thank you. Well, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions here in the Media Center. Please raise your hand and state your affiliation. We'll start here with Adam.
Adam Stern, Sports Business Journal. For Ed, how did you find the family involved in the ad we saw yesterday, and how special of a spot do you think that could be for the company?
Well, we think it's obviously a very special spot. I think everybody that got a chance to see it would agree. And we actually were thinking about running it during the chase last year, but we thought it was so special we would keep it and showcase it for Daytona. And where we found Luca, we did a call at a hearing impaired school in Canada, and they actually had a tryouts at this hearing impaired school, and Luca was the one that won the competition, and so that's how he and the family are there. So, and they're here with us all weekend, and really, really over the top, special people.
We'll go to Bruce.
Bruce Meyer with Speed Sport. This is for Barney. How much pride did you take last year in being the first Cup team in like forever to win the championship that was not based in North Carolina?
Well, obviously I wasn't there, so I missed part of the celebration, but that's something that's soaking in over time. what we've been able to do, and I'm really proud of the guys. Of course, none of that happens without these two guys sitting alongside me here. None of it happens without our relationship with Joe, and of course, Ed tapped us on the shoulder here several years ago and said, "We want to get you with us." And, that's been monumental for us. And none of it happens without these guys, so I'm proud of it, but I know the reality is these two guys have as much to do with it as we did.
How much impact was there in Denver?
That was huge. It was huge. We got a lot of ink, a lot of media time. If you can win a sport, if you can dominate something like we did, you're going to get a lot of press time out there.
We'll stay up front with Lewis, Holly, and then we'll go to Bob.
To your right.
Lewis up front.
Louis Frank of Reuters. Barney, coming back to see a race live, talking about your new pipes, with pack racing and stage racing, does it feel like it's a dynamometer while you're here in your chest?
Well, I feel like I'll have a little more gas after the race now. I remember Claire talking to me a few times after wins, and I was almost dead. I didn't realize how tired I was, so I think it'll be better now. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Holly.
Holly Kane, the NASCAR Wire Service. And Barney, and you probably have told this story somewhere, but I was curious, did you watch the last race in Homestead or did you not? I know what the doctor's orders were, but how did you handle that?
Well, the doctor didn't tell me I couldn't watch it. That's a rumor going around, but no, I don't remember Texas because that was right in the middle of it, and then I don't really remember Phoenix. So Homestead, I got my heart rate slowed down, and I was able to watch it on TV with my wife, and pretty fun. Yeah. I was pretty heavily medicated, and so yeah.
We'll continue on with Bob, and then we'll go to Joseph Walken.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. Barney, can you kind of take us through, did you have a heart attack and did you feel it right away and go to the hospital, or were you just feeling bad and go to the hospital, and kind of what was your thought process going into the surgery?
Well, looking back on it, I'd been having angina for 6 months, and I didn't realize that it was just a burning lung sensation that would come and go. So I should have paid more attention to that. But my arm was numb all night, the night before I went in, and usually you get up in the morning and you shake that stuff off, but it just wouldn't shake off. So I went into the hospital, and they started running tests, and did an angiogram that afternoon, and they couldn't stent it after. They'll try to stent it if they can, and one of them was 99% blocked, and they just couldn't do it. So I had to wait for a bypass on Monday. If there was a heart attack, and doctors in the hospital told me there was, my cardiologist, these guys take a lot of pride in this stuff, and whether or not their patients have heart, he doesn't think I did because of the numbers. But I think what happened is on the gurney on the way to the angiogram, it just felt like somebody was ripping my chest open, and I started complaining about it, and they handed me a nitroglycerin, and I passed out at that point and don't remember much after that. They did the angiogram, and I remember a bossy little woman who was the doctor. She was an angioplasty specialist, and she was going to do the stent. And everyone was terrified of her, and that's all I remember about that. So, yeah. Anyway, it was so that was, but they
Barney,
couldn't get it done.
By the way, you're doing great with your stand-up routine for on the off season. Your practice is paying off.
It's just what happened. So, she was something else, but yeah.
Was there a good chance the surgery was going to be successful, or were there any, real, this could be the end concern?
No, I don't think I was ever concerned about that. I was more concerned about it. My dad had a bypass 40 years ago or something at the same age. And it had been a real painful deal for him. But so I was more concerned about that. I wasn't concerned that this could be it. That never even crossed my mind. It just, but the techniques have changed so much in that many years. And I got very lucky with the surgeon that I drew, a young kid, 35 years old, that had been trained in all the latest techniques. And the nurses were still talking about the job that he did and how thorough he was and how heavy the wire was that he used to put me back together. And I mean, every nurse that I saw that was in there was still talking about it. So I got real lucky on that.
We'll continue on with Joseph, and then we'll come up front to Caleb.
Joseph Walken, frontstretch.com. With all the Ford and Chevy teams trying to catch up to you guys, how are your teams trying to stay ahead entering the season? For all three of you.
Coach?
Yeah, I think for us, just you take each part of the race team, pit road, and we've worked extremely hard on that. We know there's a lot of changes there. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens, I think, in particular the race tomorrow. So you take pit road, you obviously with the drivers, our engineering group, all of our plans as far as new chassis and stuff. It's kind of by segmented. I think you just work extremely hard on each one of those, and we have it very well organized. I think at our place we're thrilled, but it's all the way across the board. You got everything you're working on, and it's a short time frame, really. You take a week off for Christmas, and you're back after it. So I think it's detailed, hard work, and having things really organized. So I think that's kind of where you spend the off season. It goes by in a hurry.
Caleb, up here to the right. Oh, do you want to, Ed, do you want to grab?
Barney, go ahead.
You know, the guys are spending a lot of time on the sim package, on their sim package. They're spending a lot of time on the aero package with, you know, the NASCAR taking somewhere between 120 and 150 pounds of downforce off the car. It spins all the engineers out of control, and they're back through trying to get everything settled back out again. So they spent a lot of time on that this winter. We had to set up the new scanner system. Had to get one of those set up and get it all figured out. So that's been very challenging.
Yeah, I think from a Toyota and TRD perspective, there isn't really a break point. It's an evolutionary process that's ongoing. And during that short window of time between Homestead and coming back here, I just think there's just a little bit more focus on getting ready for the next season.
Caleb, to the right.
Caleb Whistler, KickingTires.net. This is for any of you owners. Toyota seems to have revolutionized the way driver development has come about in the sport. As team owners, how much importance does that investment mean to you guys in the younger drivers?
Well, I think for me, I'll go first with Barney, but I think it's going to be exciting this year that we have a group of young guys that are coming into Cup, and it's really going to be an interesting year, and we see how all of them develop. I think each one of the race teams, you're always looking into the future. You're looking for a superstar out there. But the hard thing is you're never quite sure because they go from racing a late model, then it's trucks, and some of them fall away. Then you go into Xfinity, and as the harder it gets, and the question is what's going to happen when they get to Cup. And that's the way it is in pro sports. You know, you come out of college, you're a superstar in football, and you go to the pros, and it's hard. I think it takes a lot. We got 2 young guys this year. We got 2 veteran guys for us in Cup. And then we're excited about our Xfinity program because we got some young guys there. But I think with Toyota and all of us, you're always looking for the future. And I think this year in our sport, it's going to really be a fun year from that standpoint. We got a young group that everybody's going to catch, I think, a lot of excitement. A bunch of them have potential. We saw it yesterday. And so it's going to be a fun year, I think, from that standpoint.
Either of you other gentlemen want to weigh in on driver development?
I got good quite hear that.
Driver development, just in general.
Yeah.
Young guys.
You know, we went through that last year a little bit here and enjoyed that, but we've only right now have 1 seat to fill, and we got it pretty well filled. And this is so we're pretty happy where we're at right now.
Okay, we'll continue up front here with Godwin.
Godwin Kelly with the News Journal for Barney and Joe. You're past retirement age. What keeps
Really?
you?
Who are you talking to, Barney?
Well, I'm sort of creeping into that area, and so I look at you guys, and it's amazing that you're going as strong as you are. What keeps you coming back for both of you?
I don't know. Speaking for me, honestly, it's the competitive part. I've always wanted to be involved in something, trying to beat somebody in something. I wasn't good enough in athletics myself. The only award I ever got in sports was most improved. But I think for me, it's family. And I got, obviously JD is a big part of building what we have. And I got Coy. And then I got 8 grandkids coming. I get excited about that from that side. I got our family coming. And then I get excited every morning to get up, come here, and you get a race against the best people in the world, and it's fun. And it's competitive, and I think it gets your juices going. It's a little bit like what Barney talked about, missing it.
We'll go to Tom, and then I'm sorry, you want Barney, you want to grab that one?
Yeah, honestly, I've watched Joe myself, and he's been an inspiration to me because he's about 6 years older than me, and he's he's one of the most competitive people I've ever met in my life, and he hasn't skipped a beat, and that makes me realize I can just keep doing this thing, and that makes it fun. There's no reason to step back.
But this is getting more depressing the farther we go. You're going to have me out of this before long.
We'll keep rolling with Tom, and we'll come up front to Kelly.
Tom Bowles, front stretch. This question is for Ed and Barney. Barney, you guys are defending champions, had such a great year, yet you're also coming into the season choosing to consolidate from 2 teams to 1. And I wondered if you could comment on that decision to do that, even though you got more sponsorship for Martin Truex entering the season. And Ed, other manufacturers have over a dozen teams here. You guys on the Cup level, for all intents and purposes, this is it. And I wondered if you could comment on your strategy to focus all your resources through these programs and any future expansion plans you might have.
We didn't want to have to pull back from 2 to 1, but the sponsorship just wasn't there for a second car. I mean, I think there's drivers out there that could have done it. So we just had to take it. The money just was not there. So we pulled back to the 1 car. We were able to get 5 hour to move over to the 78, which they were very happy to do. They loved Eric. Eric is going to be a great spokesman, and there's just really incredible drivers lined up in the Toyota camp here, and we're excited about that. But all we could run was 1 car this year.
Yeah, from a Toyota and TRD perspective, that we have a very special relationship with the teams, and our engineering groups work very closely with with Barney and Joe's teams. And while we're disappointed that we had to go from 6 cars down to 5 in the Cup, and ultimately, at the end of the day, we're very happy with the stable that we have. And if there's an opportunity in the future for us to expand, we're obviously going to look at it, but it's not an imperative.
We'll continue up front with Kelly, and then go to Jordan.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. For Joe, Eric is not new to your organization, but he steps into kind of an interesting situation with just, Matt leaving and everything. What have you seen from him in the regard of how he's handling that, in the sense that he seems to really appreciate the car number, the history there, and things of that nature? Have you gotten that impression from him of how he's handling this?
Yeah, I think Toyota and all of us kind of saw Eric and have been, you kind of realize he's I think a very special talent, and everything that we've given him a chance to do, I think he could be special, and so that's great. And so you look at a young kid like that, we were able to, support with Barney our strategic alliance over there, but now to get him back on our side is, I think a huge deal, and we think he's a special talent. We'll see, and he's one of those young guys. And I will say this, when you talk to them, Daniel and Eric, they know there's going to be about 7 of them out there going as hard as they can go, and it's going to be interesting to see which one of those young guys, takes off this year and starts hitting having some big races and hitting some home runs in there. So but I just think you're looking for good young talent, and it's great that we had a chance to get him.
Jordan, straight ahead.
Jordan Bianchi, SB Nation. This question's for Barney. Barney, in August 2016, you guys announced a 2-year contract extension with Martin. I'm curious, is this the last year of that extension, and have you guys started renegotiations or anything, and where that stands?
You know, we'll start working on that this year, but no, this is the last year of his current contract, so we'll be working on it this year. I don't anticipate any problems at all. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to end there, but thank you, gentlemen, and good luck on Sunday.
Thanks, John.
We're going to continue our media availabilities here at Daytona, and we have a very, very special announcement today and 3 very special guests. We are excited, very excited to welcome back an historical official partner, AXALTA. AXALTA is already a Daytona International Speedway partner and adorns the stadium out front, and a longtime Hendrick Motorsports sponsor. And they will serve as the official paint partner of NASCAR. And here to talk about that with us today is Darrell Wolf, NASCAR and ISC Chief Sales and Partnership Officer, Charlie Shaver, Chairman and CEO of AXALTA, and Jeff Gordon, AXALTA Global Ambassador. And Charles, it's been a few years since your organization was last an official partner. Why did you decide to rejoin the official partner family here with NASCAR?
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, we were a partner for many years with NASCAR. In 2013, when we were formerly known as DuPont, we took a step back, reassessed that. We also changed our whole global partnership around the world in motorsports quite a bit. And then over the last couple of years, worked with NASCAR to get back in as the official paint sponsor. Again, kind of joining our, as you mentioned, our partnership with ISC, the Daytona Rising Project, and then also our 26 years now with Hendrick Motorsports.
Darrell, provide a little context here. AXALTA is a very important brand for NASCAR, and particularly Daytona and ISC. Why is NASCAR an effective platform for them?
Well, first, good morning, everybody. You know, today's just an exciting time of the year, and today's certainly an exciting announcement for us on the NASCAR side. You know, I always say that I think NASCAR has the best fans in all of sports, but one thing I can say with really confidence is we have the best partners, and AXALTA is a shining example of that. You know, I have a unique perspective on this announcement today because Charlie and his team with William and Wade and Joe and Steve and everybody, we've gotten to know those guys really well. They're fully invested in the sport. They're passionate about the sport. They want to grow the sport. The sport works for them. We got to know them really well as we had the conversations around the Daytona Rising Project. We got to know their objectives, what they were trying to accomplish, and we had a lot of deep conversations about how they're invested in the sport. And when we made our announcement, made them a founding partnership, a partner of the Daytona Rising Project, we had a great dialogue about what your marketing objectives were. And we really enjoyed those conversations. So really, really proud of today's announcement. You think about the Hendrick involvement, you think about Daytona Rising being a founding partner, and now the official paint of NASCAR. Welcome back to the family. Couldn't be more excited about today's announcement.
And before we go to Jeff, Jeff has a hard stop at 11:15, going to some production meetings. But before we do, okay, 11:20. Oh, it's generous with his time as always. But Jeff, you drove the AXALTA cars for years, and you have a special relationship with them as our global ambassador. Talk a little bit about what it means to be affiliated with AXALTA.
Well, and I've had a long-standing relationship and partnership with them going all the way back to 1993, or even that first race of mine in 1992. So, you know, their commitment to motorsports, their commitment to the automotive industry, industrial as well, is second to none. And you know, they pride themselves with bringing a product that is absolutely the best. And so it's great, you know, to align with a race team where they share those goals of absolutely putting the best product on the racetrack, and knowing that that paint is going to perform at the same level as that race car is what has made it a great partnership. But I think this announcement really shows that you know, their continued commitment to this sport, NASCAR, and I think it's fantastic. I've had an opportunity to strengthen my relationship over the years, especially the last couple of years as it's turned into AXALTA, and their their commitment today is greater than I've ever seen it, and it's fun to see their customer experience, just like the customer service center in Charlotte at Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, I think it shows that they're all about bringing their customers and their product together and giving them not only a great product but a great experience. And they do that same thing for our race team at Hendrick Motorsports, and they continue to do that for the fans and for NASCAR as well.
Thanks, Jeff. And with that, we'll open it right up for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll start with Adam Stern.
Adam Stern, Sportsman Journal. For Charlie, obviously you guys are already so invested in the sport, with Hendrick, with the Daytona Rising injector. So what assets were you most interested in as far as the official NASCAR partnership?
Yeah, that's a good question. Being in business, just like everyone here, it's all about the value proposition. And what we like about becoming a partner, and it really strengthens our ability to reach out to customers. You've literally got tens of thousands of people who are directly or indirectly associated with this sport. And our business is painting things, as many of you know. So whether that's trailers, boats, RVs, automobiles, or any type of automotive products, we're really able to reach through through NASCAR, not only direct partnerships with people involved in the sport, but people who really follow it, are associated with it. And last but not least, it's also a great venue for us to bring a lot of our key customers here and get a look behind the sport from someone who knows it and just an ability to learn a little bit more about it.
We'll go to the left with Godwin and then Lewis.
This is a question for Jeff. Godwin Kelly, News Journal. This question for Jeff was a competition question. All these young kids coming in, you feel like you're the guy that blazed that trail for them?
Oh, I think there were other young drivers before me that blazed the trail, but I think what maybe changed for me, and we're seeing this again this year with Rick Hendrick's decisions on that young driver lineup, is giving young talented drivers the ability to get behind the wheel of really good equipment. And I can't help but see the similarities of when I came into the sport to seeing that AXALTA flame paint scheme on that 24 car William Byron, and giving this young kid the opportunity and chance that I think he deserves. He proved it in the Truck Series. He proved it in the Xfinity Series. I think he's going to prove it again in the Cup Series. But it's an exciting time. If I put my broadcaster hat on, it's an exciting time for the sport. We need more rivalries, and to see some rivalries being built among the young drivers and the veteran drivers, I think that's going to transfer over onto the racetrack and make the racing a little more intense, a little more exciting. These young guys, they're incredibly talented, but sometimes you don't get a chance to see that unless you put them in top quality equipment, and we're seeing that this year.
Lewis, then Dustin.
Louis Frank of Reuters over to your right. Jeff, you've seen Fernando Alonso jump over to IndyCar, now sports cars. You told us a couple of years ago you do a competitive car. So for Mr. Shaver, I was wondering, would you put some money behind Jeff in a Le Mans entry and perhaps Fernando in a NASCAR car?
Certainly with Jeff. I don't know about Fernando, but the issue we have, we are in global motorsports. We're in about 19 different series around the world, and we actually have 19 championships that we've been affiliated with here in North America alone. Some of you know we're on the Mercedes team in Formula One with Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. But yeah, anytime Jeff wants to race, we're behind him. So
well, they actually painted the Cadillac prototype that I won in here last year or whatever year, 2017, and they also are not telling you that they also won this year, right, because they paint the Ford GT. All right, thank you, Lewis.
Lewis, the capitalist. We'll go in the middle with Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Jeff, Rick Hendricks talked about breaking down the walls this offseason and really kind of being more of a one-car operation instead of two-car operations. Can you, how significant of a cultural change that is at Hendrick through your years, and how could something like that have potentially helped prevent what has happened the last year or so over there, or how it could have maybe sped up the process, or the hope it could have?
Well, yes, sometimes your own success can impact your growth because you're seeing great results, and you don't want to change that. And when you start to see the environment around you and how other competitors are going about it, and finding new ways to advance the sport or get better results, then you have to at least be open-minded enough to look at that and analyze it and see how you can incorporate that in your own organization. I can tell you that those two shops, meaning now it's the 924 and 4888, they've been wanting to combine those efforts for many, many years and just trying to figure out how to do that, put it under one roof. I give Marshall Carlson and Jeff Andrews a lot of credit because they have put a lot of hard work into bringing certain areas of the shops and the people together to be stronger, to open those lines of communications, and it's perfect timing because the new body and the Camaro, and I think that I don't know if you're going to see the instant results right away, but because it has been new, but it's gone extremely well. All the people I've talked to in Hendrick have been very positive of how they're going about things. But it's all about information sharing these days, and the closer that you can be, and you'd be surprised how that gap can be created, even when one shop is 60 to 70 yards away from the shop, the next shop, and now that's not the case. So we'll see if it works the way that they hope that it will, but I think it's definitely going to improve.
And we'll wrap right up front.
Ben White with Lexington Dispatch. This is for Jeff. Jeff, when you were running your cars at Hendrick Motorsports, did you have any input as far as the paint schemes and did you have any designs on some of your cars?
Well, I mean, Charlie might even be able to talk a little bit about some of the history because he's aware of Sam Bass and some of those discussions on how the initial paint scheme came about. Obviously, being a paint company, they wanted to display their colors and that car to stand out and be bright. And I think the rest is sort of history when you think of that rainbow paint scheme. We did make a change in 2001 when we went to the flame paint scheme, and I was involved in that. I had a race car as a kid racing quarter midgets where I had a helmet that had the flames on it, and I loved that helmet, that quarter midget. And so I talked to Sam Bass and to the folks at AXALTA about, hey, could we think about maybe making this change? And that was when I went through a crew chief change and some different things, and they were very open-minded to it. So I think that was maybe one involvement I had, and then later we turned that from the blue to black with the flames. And if you go back and see that quarter midget that I had as a kid, it's almost exact but way better because the paint's so much cooler and pops nowadays, and the quality of it's a whole nother level. But so yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, I wasn't adamant about it has to be this or this, but I was able to at least have my input.
Yeah, we try to have a lot of fun with it. If you look at the last couple of years, not only the cars Jeff ran, we ran a redo of the Rainbow Warrior. But we also try to load the car up with, without putting a bunch of weight on it, really the bright pigments. If you look at Dale's cars the last 2 years, the yellow, the red, and even his Homestead last ride car, we had a lot of fun with that red. We had to stay close to the original Bud color. But we really try as a paint company to have fun with the cars, not only the 24, but if you look at the other ones in the Hendrick stable as well, every one of them, we're really trying to showcase the color and the pigment and the brilliance of the car so you can find it on the track easier.
Charlie, welcome back to the official partner family. And gentlemen, thank you all for your time. We're going to stay up here for a quick photo, and we're going to let you guys go.
Thank you.